Good evening, good afternoon. Welcome. Welcome once again to our business forum. This is our 6th business forum, and this is module 3, virtual version. Thank you everyone for joining. I hope you have all managed to connect well. It's a challenge to know if you're all in. So you don't get to see you live. But so I would like to welcome you to this new session. Welcome to Ambassador Charlotte Samlin, distinguished speakers, guests, ladies and gentlemen. This is our 3rd module, focusing on the concept of Greece leaping into sustainable future. And this specific module will go into the circular economy and the decarbonizing business models. The Hellenic-Swedish Chamber in Greece has been operating for 30 years. This is our 30th year since 1991. And we are now over 100 members with over 33 companies, Swedish entities in Greece. And we focus on bilateral activities between Sweden and Greece. Today's module has a nice series of business models that are operating in Greece today from Swedish entities. And we have 2 keynote speakers with us today. I have to apologize, we have a change in the schedule, and so the Minister of Energy, Mr. Skrekas, will not be joining us as he was called into an unexpected ministry meeting. And so we have a replacement, another gentleman very relative to the material that will be presented today, Mr. George Kremlis, who is also assisting the government in the matter of sustainability. And then we have 4 companies, which are member companies of the Chamber also, who will be presenting how they today operate circular economy and have been for many years, some of them, and what models of business we can relate to. We have very different industries. It will be very interesting to see how we are already becoming a sustainable economy. And the objective of our forum is to show and exchange the technology between Sweden and Greece and how we can share and profit from this. I would first also, before proceeding, like to thank our sponsors of the event, and that is Sarakakis Group of Companies, Intrum, Combitrans, Ericsson, and SKF. Thank you to our sponsors. And now I would like to introduce our moderator, Professor Maria Loizidou. She is faculty member of the School of Chemical Engineering of the National Technical University. Thank you, Maria, for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
And she will be moderating our forum.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the invitation. And I would like to congratulate for this excellent event. I know that you have a series of events that I have participated previously, but the circular economy and decarbonizing business model, I think, is really a very nice subject. And we are addressing also industry that is very, very crucial for these issues. Yes, thank you, Annika, Mr. Batiopoulos, and I would like to call as the keynote speaker, Her Excellency, the Ambassador of Sweden to Greece, Charlotte Samelin, for her speech.
Hello, everybody, I'm very pleased to take part we have distinguished moderator. It's a pleasure that you were willing to work with us on this module, and also Mr. Kremlis, whom I would have liked to meet in person. Mr. Kremlis has a very long experience in EU matters and also on dealing with the sustainable development agenda, and then also the panelists, and of course all the members of the chamber. I would like to thank you and thank Chairperson Rania Patsopoulou for continuing to work on sustainable development. I'm unfortunately, I have to inform you that the Minister for Trade and Internal Market has had to cancel her participation due to unforeseen events. So I've been asked to give you her keynote address. So I would like to start with emphasizing that today's discussion on the leap into a sustainable future by achieving a circular economy is crucial for our society. The circular economy benefits the environment and limits climate impact. It creates opportunities for new jobs and sustainable business. The COVID-19 pandemic has hit our economies hard and pushed many companies to the brink. Despite these challenges, we now have the opportunity to build back better. A green and digital transition is the way forward, and the pandemic could provide the opportunity for a jumpstart. My key message today is that Swedish businesses stand ready to partner with Greece for a brighter future. And we're also very happy to see that the number of Swedish companies in Greece has increased over the last years, and that these companies employ a substantial number of persons. To say the least, year 2020 was a turbulent year. The pandemic has compounded other challenges, such as geopolitical, polarization, and climate change. The situation highlights the need for innovation and international cooperation going forward. In the wake of COVID-19, we must invest in strengthening and diversifying our value chains. At the same time, we must future-proof our industries, aiming for a climate-neutral and circular economy. The EU Recovery and Resilience Facility will provide 672.5 billion euros, and this facility will play a crucial role. Investments and initiatives will target research and innovation in green and digital areas. By encouraging businesses to develop new climate-neutral enabling technologies, goods and services will contribute not only to the global green transition, but also to a resilient green economic recovery. Governments must set a high level of ambition and provide framework for the transition. In Sweden, the Parliament introduced a climate policy framework aimed at climate neutrality by 2045. Sweden also intends to implement the new measures proposed by the EU Commission on new circular economy action plan. This plan is key to achieving environmental and climate objectives, as well as several of the global goals and Agenda 2030. A continued green transition will require transformative policies, purposeful innovation, research, access to funding, and risk-taking capacity. We will need new and sustainable business models and markets. Digital infrastructure and solutions are key to reducing carbon footprints. There is great potential in combining new technology and innovation for reduced environmental impact and increased environmental benefits. At the same time, we strengthen competitiveness through resource-efficient production models and products. To this end, Sweden launched a circular economy strategy last year. The core of our strategy is a vision, a society in which resources are used efficiently in toxin-free circular flows, replacing new materials. We will focus on sustainable production and product design, sustainable ways of consuming and using materials, products and services, and circular eco-cycles. Sweden and its companies, both multinationals and SMEs, are at the vanguard of sustainable business. Our industries are committed and play a leading role in this transition, as the transition to climate neutrality paves the way for new business opportunities, technologies, and better social solutions. As part of the initiative Fossil-Free Sweden, industrial sectors produce their own roadmaps for becoming fossil-free. To date, more than 20 sectors, including steel, cement, and forestry, have committed to a roadmap. We also know that the circular economy is relevant for all business sectors, which is truly reflected in today's panel. We have Oriflame from cosmetics, SKF from manufacturing, and Electrolux from consumer electronics. To conclude, the pandemic has hit our economies hard, but we should seize the opportunities at hand. Sweden and Swedish businesses stand ready to invest and to contribute to the transition towards a sustainable and green society in Greece. I am now looking forward to hearing Mr. Kremli's views on the way forward and mutually beneficial collaboration between our countries. Thank you very much for the attention.
Thank you, Mrs. Sameli, for this nice overview of the Swedish situation regarding sustainability, circular economy, climate change activities. And thanks again for really taking into consideration the Greek situation and trying to bring the two countries together to collaborate in these lovely issues. We as universities are always open for collaboration as well. And I see that innovation and research is always at the center of these activities, along with the industrial sector, to really move forward. Thank you again for your speech. I would like to call on Mr. George Kremlis, our second keynote speaker. George, he's the Chief Advisor to the Greek Prime Minister in charge of energy, climate, environment, and circular economy. George, I know you for a very long time, but I want just to say a few things about you. I think everybody knows you. You've been working in Brussels for so long, but always assisting the country, assisting all of us to avoid big penalties, trying very hard because Greece is not always implementing regulations and directives, and we are really lacking, and you did your best to assist. But you had really a long way. You started from the Greek Supreme Court, and then you moved to Brussels. In 1981, you worked there for 10 years and came back as an advisor to the minister, to the Prime Minister. And then back to Brussels, you served with the DG Environment and other units, always trying the best for the environment, for legal issues. And personally, I would like to thank you for all your efforts, and you are always there available for Greece, but always also for other countries of the region that you were responsible. I've seen these, your activities in Balkan countries and many other countries. And again, I congratulate for all your efforts. And now the floor is yours to give us your speech.
Thank you very much, dear Maria. And thank you very much indeed for your kind words. It is a real pleasure to be once again on the same panel with you, as I consider you one of the most prominent environmental and circular economy scientists, not only within the European Union, but also worldwide, in the sense that your annual conference on waste management and circular economy, and there is an upcoming one in June, which unfortunately will be an online one. Your annual conferences have a worldwide impact to promote best practices and new technologies as regards waste management and circular economy. Your Excellency, Ambassador of Sweden and Greece, Madam President of the Chamber, dear speakers of this panel, ladies and gentlemen, it is a real pleasure to be part of this panel. I do believe that a lot can be gained thanks to the cooperation between Sweden, a pioneering country on environmental know-how, best practices and technologies, and also a pioneering country as regards the combat against climate change. This cooperation with Greece can be mutually productive, as Greece, thanks also to our Prime Minister and our government, has a very high level of ambition and is willing also to promote best practices as regards combating climate change, and also as regards the promotion of circular economy. As the time is limited, I will concentrate my speech on the key developments. First of all, we are phasing out from lignite, whereas we are a lignite production country, much earlier than the other member states of the EU. By 2023 for the 4 municipalities in Western Macedonia, and the latest by 2028 for the municipality of Megalopolis in the Peloponnese. Number 2, our national plan for climate and energy is one of the most ambitious ones with even higher targets than the current one, which of course will be updated thanks to the climate law, a regulation of the European Union, which will ensure net zero by 2050 with a target by 2030 of reduction of the emissions by 55%. Here again, Sweden and Greece have been among the countries to support the 55% reduction, which was not evident for all EU member states. Number 3, we are currently updating our strategy on circular economy. We have already one from 2019. There is currently a roadmap which will be introducing the second action plan of the European Commission and will soon be published for a broad public consultation in which all comments, including from the Swedish Embassy, of course, are welcome. A very ambitious roadmap which will follow a holistic approach and which will increase all the impacts of circular economy in all the sectors of our economy, broadening it to eco innovation, to renewables, to the use of bio-waste, which will become mandatory as a separate collection stream by the end of 2022 in order to enable us to exploit it as a resource and produce biogas, biofuels, and high-level compost. Important initiatives which will ensure that circular economy as applied in a holistic manner, lato sensu, I would say in legal terms, will lead to green growth and to green jobs and to a circular entrepreneurship. The idea would be to have also regional circular economy plans and to have also plans at the level of the municipalities, which are important to ensure what is the next step of the smart cities, namely cities that will introduce a circular economy model which will reduce the climate, the environmental and the energy footprint of all the activities in the cities, and will lead to green jobs. Another important achievement of this government is electromobility. There is a new ambitious law that promotes electromobility in terms of economic and other incentives. This will reduce the emissions from the cars that are using fossil fuels or gas. And of course, this will be supported in terms of electric chargers installations through the Green Fund, a fund that is operating in Greece with carbon resources, and the program Tritsis from the former famous, well-known mayor of Athens, a program that will be supporting municipalities in developing circular economy projects and programs. So all these initiatives will lead to a decarbonization of our economy, which is extremely important, and will also be complemented, and this is something very important which I would like to highlight, from the RFF, from the Recovery RRF and Resilience Fund, where Greece will invest a lot from this fund for circular economy initiatives of the private sector, but also in terms of PPPs. Last but not least, on the climate front, we are planning to participate in the COP26 in Glasgow from the 1st to the 12th of November. The proposal of Greece is to organize a joint meeting of ministers of environment and of ministers of culture during the high-level session of the COP26. The Prime Minister has appointed me, and this is a big honor for me, as the president of a coordination unit that will promote the Greek initiative at the level of the UN, supported by the Secretary General, Mr. Guterres, which is an initiative to protect the cultural heritage and the monuments of nature from the climate change impacts. It is extremely important, not only of Greece because of our cultural heritage, as the initiative covers also all types of cultural heritage, including modern art, buildings, which can suffer, and of course natural heritage, reserves, natural reserves, parks, which can suffer from climate change impacts. And last but not least, small islands in the Pacific and in the Indian Ocean, which because of the rise of the sea level are threatened, and which have shown a very important, a very keen interest in the Greek initiative. And we hope that Sweden will be supporting this initiative, not only within the European family, but also as Sweden is a key player in terms of climate diplomacy. And this is a climate diplomacy and cultural diplomacy initiative of Greece that we can further cooperate in this context. So these are the points I would like to share with you. I find this as an excellent initiative that needs to be followed up. And I wish a very successful continuation of this forum. And this having been said, Madam Loizidou, I am at your disposal for any question that you might wish to ask me. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, George, for the nice presentation and the overview what we are going to do in Greece. I hope we do something, because every 5 years we renew our plans, but we don't move. So we have to move, and I think Sweden can really give us a flavor of what they are doing, and let's push and move forward, because we have challenges ahead of us. We have the money now, and you just mentioned the RRF, so things can really change and make the transition. So we have to be there and fight for this nice transition the coming years, new opportunities. From my side, George, I don't have any question, unless let's check with the chat if there is any question for you. No, I don't have. But do you believe, George, that the new action plan for circular economy will change things a lot?
It is an ambitious, I have already seen the draft. It is an ambitious state-of-the-art roadmap, which, as I mentioned before, codifies the existing strategy and takes on board the second circular economy action plan of the European Union. It sets the high targets that have to be met. And in that respect, I wanted to mention, as you are an expert on that, that waste to energy is foreseen, provided the 65% target by 2035 of recycling is met, and a 10% landfilling target, which makes a 75%, leaving a 25% for energy recovery, which of course has to be developed according to the Industrial Emissions Directive and the legal framework of the European Union, which is extremely stringent and which ensures a full protection in terms of emissions. It is much more safe to have a waste-to-energy new technology state-of-the-art plant that to have, for example, a landfill or even illegal landfills, as unfortunately we still have in the country. These are an issue which we need to tackle as a matter of priority, and hopefully with the full implementation of this new road map, we will tackle waste in the future as resources and secondary materials in the context of the circular economy, and maximize the benefits. And probably a last point, as you are giving me the chance to add
yes, please.
Point, I think we need increased recycling capacity to recycle the packaging waste that will be collected through the separate collection that is mandatory, but which will become even more mandatory. It is a pity to export plastic, for example, to Bulgaria and Turkey, or glass, and then import it into final plastic or glass products. I think we need recycling capacity to have the plants which will produce, for example, to give a touristic example, the plastic sunbeds that we are currently importing from China, the glasses which we fill with our excellent wine and beverages. So there is room for circular entrepreneurship and also room to fill the gap between separate collection of clean recyclables and products that will be produced thanks to the clean recyclables that will be sorted and will stay, hopefully, in the country as a resource.
Thank you, George. We don't have time. Thanks for joining. I know that you are not going to stay, but thanks for this very nice overview for Greece, and we have to work together, and with the assistance of Sweden and the embassy and the Hellenic-Swedish Chamber of Commerce, I think we can do quite a lot. They are advancing in waste-to-energy systems, but also they are advanced in bioeconomy. And Europe is moving towards bioeconomy, and I think Sweden has done a miracle on this, and we have to gain from this knowledge. Thank you so much, George.
Thank you.
Now we move to the second part of our work, to the panel. But before that, we have a short film, I guess, for a minute. So thank you. Please go ahead with the film. Welcome back to this second part of our discussion today. We have the panel, and the theme is a roadmap, a road towards the circular economy in Greece. Share, reuse, repair, manufacture, recycle, minimizing resource depletion and eliminating waste, best practices from Sweden, and how to implement circular economy in Greece. Before I call the panel, I just wanted to say that in Europe, we consume too much. We need 3 Europes to survive. We are producing billions of tons every year, around 7 billion of tons of consumed materials, and we throw a lot out in the landfills without making use of the materials. In circular economy concept, we want to keep this material as long as possible in the market. So we don't want to create waste. We just saw this film for repairing. This is a new tendency to repair and bring the materials and products back to the market as secondary products or even secondary materials and stop using virgin materials. So we're going to have an excellent discussion. I think this panel is an excellent panel. Give us the industrial aspects, the view from industry, because we don't only address waste management from municipalities, we have to address the industry. And we as a university try to make the eco designs of new products to avoid putting them in landfill, just to make the models, the new models, the circular models, and stop the linear models where we take materials, we produce and dump. We have to move in circles so this waste can become a secondary material for the market. This is a new model, and I think we have a nice presentation for this panel. I would like to show you the members of the panel, just by names. From Oriflame is Antonis Klouverakis.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. And then Hannes Leopoldersen, Business Unit Manager of SKF.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Sorry about the pronunciation of the name.
No worries.
And Kaz Ejo from Electrolux.
Hello, good afternoon.
And Mr. Elias Lefas from Thermovent. Okay.
Hello, Andrea. Yes, hello, and good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. I'm glad that the panel is already there. And I would like to start with Mr. Klouverakis as the speaker. You have to be a little bit short. You are given 10 minutes, but I would like to keep it to 7 to 8 minutes. Then we can have a little bit of time for discussion. He's an engineer by profession, but also a master in business administration. Mr. Klouverakis has really went through many companies with a very nice CV, very active and high positions, from Johnson & Johnson, Deloitte, L'Oreal, Notos, and now in Oriflame as a head of Greece. The floor is yours for the short presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Loizide, for the introduction. I'm honored to be part of this panel. And I've been working for Oriflame. I'm new actually to Oriflame. I've been working for 5 months, but I'm really happy and very impressed by what the company does in terms of sustainability and circularity to ensure that future generations don't experience any negative impact of our current actions. So I'll do my best to do it in 7 to 8 minutes. So let me start with the presentation. Okay. So I'm going to start with the definition of sustainability. So sustainable development is often defined as meeting the needs of the present generation without compromising future generation. And this definition was actually done in 1987, and it was published by the United Nations. And sustainable development is the pathway to sustainability. And we need to very clearly understand that what we do today impacts tomorrow. So we need to make sure that our actions and the way of life today won't compromise future generations' economic, social, and environmental needs. Sustainability for us consists of 3 pillars, which is the environment, the society, and the economy. And in regards to the economy, we need to make it very clear that it is extremely important the fact that whenever you see nowadays that we have, floods, we have wildfires, sea level rise, droughts, that will put increasingly a burden on countries' economies. And going forward, as climate change impacts worsen, such costs will increase significantly. So why is this important to Oriflame? Sustainability is core to who we are. It's part of our heritage. Imagine that we started talking as a company about sustainability almost 60 years ago when we had established the Oriflame's Values Declaration. So nothing was on trend then in 1969. And it's part, of course, of our long-term commitment and our business strategy. It's in our values as a brand. And the strategy in terms of sustainability and circularity is to taking action to increase the company's positive impact on people's lives while reducing any negative impact on the environment, which is a key part of our sustainability strategy. And this combination is fundamental to the 3 core areas, which is the opportunities for our brand partners, the respect for nature, and our passion for people. And of course, like it is in all business elements, you need to set very, very specific targets that need to be achieved. So we had the target by 2020 to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions per sales by 50% from 2010. And our target by 2025 is 100% of new skincare and personal care rinse of development should be biodegradable. And again, by 2025, a significant share of Oriflame's plastic packaging will be from either PCR, which is the post-consumer resin, which is an environmentally friendly packaging option that many manufacturers are using in support of recycling products, consumer demand, and to reduce their impact on landfills. And by 2030, we want 50% reduction on environmental footprint per unit of product. Our vision is to become a fully sustainable company. And we want to be a company that contributes positively to our natural environment and the people and communities that we operate in. This means respecting nature and striving to minimize any negative impact our business may have on the environment. For instance, by constantly striving to reduce our CO2 emissions, creating less waste, and creating more biodegradable products that don't impact our waterways. So what we do now? First of all, I'm going to start with a very important aspect, which is the respect for nature, because respecting nature means reducing our negative impact of the environment, which we have been focusing on at least for the last decade. In terms of climate, we care deeply about our climate and work hard to support change in reducing Oriflame's greenhouse gas emissions. And since 2010, we have reduced our greenhouse gas emissions by 48%, which is a great achievement and something that we should be really proud of. And then this has been achieved by several initiatives during the last 10 years. So for example, Oriflame has renewable electricity, 100% renewable electricity in our operations since 2018 from wind, solar, and hydropower. We also have, as a company, all greenhouse gases that Oriflame, with the emissions and that we have control of, we calculate them on an annual basis. And of all these emissions, Oriflame tries to reduce them as much as possible. And for the remaining emissions that cannot be reduced, we climate compensate for. This means that we, as a company, have climate neutral operations and manufacturing. The projects we have chosen to climate compensate in are reforestation and forest conservation projects located in Mexico, India, Indonesia, and China. And on an annual basis, we have a total of 6 million trees that we plant and protect in these projects. And as a company, because we work in the direct sales environment, we have a lot of conferences. All our global and regional conferences are certified climate neutral. So we have worked with improving the climate impact of an international conferences. And in 2019, actually, it was the first conference that we organized that can be said characterized as climate neutral, which means that we calculate the greenhouse gas emissions for the whole event, including flights, ground transportation, food and drink, conference activities, and waste. We try, of course, to reduce the emissions as much as possible by using, let's say, transportation with low carbon fuel and serve vegetarian food. And for the emissions that we cannot reduce, we climate compensate for in the projects, like I mentioned to you earlier in China, Indonesia, India, and Mexico. In terms of water, and you mentioned earlier, and Mr. Skrekas also about how much we need to care about natural waterways and oceans. And water is one of our most important manufacturing ingredients because in the end we sell cosmetic products. And we strive to have our new skincare and personal care rinse-off fully biodegradable. All products displayed on this slide actually have biodegradable formulations. And by 2025, we aim to have 100% of new skincare and personal care rinse-offs developed with biodegradable formulations. And another fantastic fact is that given the water scarcity around the world, during our production process, we now use 18% less water per unit at our manufacturing sites compared to 2015. And in terms of forests, we want to help preserve them for future generations. And this is also where circularity comes from. And they are vital to fight climate change, retain a rich biodiversity. 100% of our catalog paper, because we have thousands of catalogs, because this is our business model. So 100% of our catalog paper comes from certified sources. By that mean that the paper mill is certified, and this is a great achievement to fight deforestation. And we actually reached this target 1 year ahead of time. And in terms of formulations, our product formulations have an environmental impact during production as well as during and following consumer usage. And this is why we need to take the right decisions regarding which raw materials we use. For example, I'll give you a small example. For long now, we have used 100% natural alcohol in our fragrances, a far more environmentally friendly alternative to synthetic alcohol. And we also use exfoliants that are 100% of natural origin, no plastic microbeads polluting our oceans. And packaging, it plays a large part in environmental impact, as all FMCG companies, and we strive for more sustainable packaging solutions. And 99% of our paper packing comes from FSC certified sources. FSC certification is considered the gold standard designation for wood harvested from forests that are responsibly managed, socially beneficial, and economically viable. 188 tons in 2009 we used of virgin plastic with recycled plastic. We replaced the 180 tons with recycled plastic in our product packaging, which is a major increase versus 122 tons that we had in 2018. And in this slide, you can see some examples of products with bottles made of PCR, the post-consumer resin that I explained to you earlier. 100% of our waste from our own manufacturing sites avoids landfill. This means that we achieved our 2020 target 1 year ahead of time. So to conclude, there are three main axes where we have, let's say, our strategy for sustainability and circularity. This has to do with climate, forests, and water. We reduce our climate impact by cutting in half our greenhouse gas emissions, 48% since 2010, source 100% renewable electricity, and for those emissions that we cannot reduce, we climate compensate for. And therefore, we can say we have climate neutral operations and manufacturing. We protect our forests by sourcing all our paper packaging and catalogs from sustainable sources, and we have planted and protected on an annual basis 6 million trees in many countries. And finally, we preserve our oceans by developing new range of products with biodegradable formulations and having zero product plastic beads. I was as fast as possible, and I will finish and conclude this presentation by showing you a short video. Thank you very much for your attention.
Because we're from Sweden, nature holds a special place in our hearts. It's part of who we are and how we live. It's where we go to re-energize and reconnect. Nature inspires us to create the beauty products we love. But nature is precious, so we need to protect it. We want future generations to enjoy it as much as we do before it's too late. That's why we're doing everything we can to rethink and redo how we make our products. We use 100% green, renewable electricity and protect and plant millions of trees each year. 100% of our paper and cardboard packaging is sustainably sourced. And we're creating more water-friendly, biodegradable beauty products. We've come a long way. Our own manufacturing is already climate neutral. We're not done yet. We're determined to make an even greater difference and become fully sustainable. Let's be part of the solution for a better, more beautiful tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Klouverakis, for this very nice presentation. We are over time. I cannot make any comment, but you are doing a great effort, and I have to move to the second speaker of the panel. Is Mr. Hannes Leopold-Seder, a business unit manager from SKF, responsible production and consumption, repairing and reconditioning bearings. This is the title of the speech. Just to say a few things about Mr. Hannes is currently the SKF's Group Business Unit Manager for the Industrial Service Center, ISC. This center at SKF in Austria is in charge of bearing reconditioning. And in addition, the ISC in Austria is the global reference center for bearing reconditioning. The floor is yours. Please, if you have a film, you have to be very short because the time is, we're over the time. Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the introduction. One of the United Nations global goal is the global goal number 11, which is about responsible production and responsible consumption. And I would like to start with this statement here. Is there a time for a bearing change? Don't buy a new one, reuse it actually. So I would like to start with this one, the CO2 level in the atmosphere. It has been pretty stable until the year 1950, and then it was increasing significantly. And how we are using bearings is one part of it. Sustainability, as we heard and as we know, is business critical, and it is becoming even more business critical in future. And one thing which is very shocking to me always is the Earth Overshoot Day, which was in 2020 already in August 22nd. What we hear from our industry is that millions of bearings are used every year, and most of them are used only once. So it is crystal clear we must use our resources in a much more sustainable way. Why are we actually changing bearings? There are external influences. For example, if there is poor lubrication, if there is contamination, or abnormal load or fatigue. And this leads to reduced service life of your bearing and requires to change it. And very often it is exchanged by a new one. The impact of service life I have touched. And what we are doing is, by reconditioning bearings, we are giving them a second or third life, or even more than that in some cases. To be able to do so, it is also important that you detect upcoming problems in your application in a very early stage. When a machine is stopping due to a bearing failure, then it's most likely too late to recondition your bearing. Also, when you listen or feel a problem, it's already quite late. There are several ways of detecting bearing problems, upcoming damages on an early stage. And one, of course, is the SKF condition monitoring. What is the consequence of an early detection? The consequence of an early detection, as I said, it's the likelihood of reconditioning. The earlier you detect an upcoming problem, the higher the likelihood. When it comes to the reconditioning cost, of course, the less severe the damage is, the lower the reconditioning cost. What we offer to you is a sustainable use of bearings. SKF Recon Bearing. This is the whole business idea. We are aiming for reducing, reusing, and recycle. So a clear movement from the linear economy to a circular economy. And by combining SKF Recon Bearing, for example, with remote monitoring, what I have mentioned, with application engineering, or with supply chain 4.0, this becomes a very strong, sustainable offer. What is also important is we can quantify the CO2 emissions which you save by going for a reconditioned bearing. In this case, I have picked a typical example from a pulp and paper customer, a bearing which weighs approximately 600 kilos, and you are able to save and to avoid approximately 1.7 tons of CO2 emissions. Now, to put this into context, how much is actually 1 ton of CO2 emissions? This equals driving your new car for approximately 8,000 to 9,000 kilometers. I can say our business interests align. We are aiming for using as little resources as possible, minimizing, of course, the environmental impact, and also ensuring and increasing the equipment performance. So it is about peak performance, and it is about reducing the environmental impact. Also, by going for SKF recon bearing, it makes everyone a winner. You are aiming for increasing your profitability, increasing your machine uptime, lowering your operational expenses. We talked about reduced CO2 emissions already, but also it gives you the possibility to reduce your maintenance costs. And this is all supported by SKF recon bearing. It all starts with our customers, with you, our customers, with you, our potential customers. We would like to invite you to join us in this circular movement. So let's take the first steps together. We usually do this by analyzing your asset, by defining what needs to be done, planning and execute, and of course, extremely important, monitor and evaluate. We in SKF have more than 20 years of experience in reconditioning. And here is just a snapshot of the industries we are working with when it comes to SKF recon bearing, respectively reconditioning. Heavy industry, mining and minerals, the metals industry, the pulp and paper industry, but also the railway industry. And one of the youngest member which we are serving with reconditioning is the renewable energy industry, and in particular, the wind industry. I would like to give you a few examples how it looks, what we do. And on the left-hand side, you can see a large size spherical roller bearing before remanufacturing, and on the right-hand side, how it looks after reconditioning. It is almost impossible to distinguish the difference between a remanufactured one and a new product. Some more examples of how bearings look like after remanufacturing, respectively reconditioning. On the right-hand side, you see a very specific one where we have even applied a black oxide coating. Other examples, a slewing bearing, again, picture before reconditioning and after reconditioning. And here quite a lot of bearings from one of our mining and mineral processing customers, a 24900, a very big bearing, a very expensive bearing, and definitely worth to recondition it. When we look into 2020, we have saved more than 360 tons of CO2 with the bearings we have reconditioned in 2020, and this equals roughly driving your car 64 times around the world. SKF has quite a lot of circular offers, what we call clean tech offers, where bearing reconditioning is one of it. We are reconditioning oil, we are reconditioning lubrication systems, we are servicing and reconditioning machine tool spindles, and the railway bearings and industrial bearings I have already mentioned before. And I would like to close with this one, saying sustainability has never been more critical than now. So we would like to invite you to join us in this circular journey. Thank you.
Thank you for this nice presentation. If there is any film, no?
No?
Very good. I tell you that now I'm preparing the repairing center for Cyprus, because you have to repair materials, and I'm glad to hear that with all this reconditioning, we save CO2 emissions, we can bring products we can keep products into the market for much longer time. And this will be the great effort. And we have to, all of us, to work towards that direction.
We are doing this with Greece.
It.
Yeah, we are doing this with Greece already, and there is a lot of potential, I can tell you.
Yes, I'm sure about this. I'm sure about it. The principle of the circular economy is to keep the products, but also, as you mentioned, United Nations has the DG goals, is responsible production and consumption, and we have to stick to that as well.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you so much for this lovely presentation and the short presentation, for saving more time to have discussion. Now I would like to call Mr. Ejo Karl for his speech, Director of Circular Solutions, Environmental and EU Affairs from Electrolux. Electrolux focus on developing circular business models. Just to say a few things about you so people can know you more. Mr. Carrejo is a Director of Circular Solutions at Electrolux. His role is centered around efficient use of materials, including use of recycled plastics, development of alternative business models, and other forms of extending and closing the material loops. Before that, he worked on the implementation of the Waste Week Directive in the European Union member states, following the policy development and working on how to practically handle the requirements that followed. Now he's with Electrolux. The floor is yours to give us your views. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very nice to be here. Honored for taking part of this. So let me just open this. Yes, I'll try to keep it sufficiently short and efficient. So Electrolux Group, which I work for, is of course more than Electrolux brand. I think it might be good to clarify that Electrolux is not just Electrolux, but also AEG, Zanussi, and Frigidaire, and actually many more brands. These are the main brands in Europe and US. And probably it's known that we are a household appliance company. We produce household appliances for the kitchen, for laundry, and for floor care, healthy homes, floor care, air conditioning, etc. So I won't spend too much time on this. I hope you know us enough for that. So I'll jump straight into the circular discussion. And I kept my presentation rather short, but I wanted to give the overview first. So we have put an ambition to be a circular company by 2030. And by that, it's not a fixed definition yet. We know that circular is many different things, and we're not really sure yet how to measure circular. We understand that we need to make better use of our resources, as you have mentioned several times before, that keep materials in the loop, on the market, even better keep them in the products, as with the bearings, for example, as long as possible. For us as Electrolux, we have seen that we have circular is many different things for a company with a complex products. So seen from the consumer perspective, we see at least maybe 6 or 7 areas. It might be more later on. But this is just to show the complexity of the circular economy for us. And here you see we have a focus on materials, of course. We want to use more recycled materials. We also focus on what materials we choose. Lifetime. We want to make sure that make an optimal lifetime for the product. So we have increased focus on spare parts, service, and design for repair. But also packaging and product take-back are, of course, key elements of circular economy. But here and now, I will not talk about all this more than this, but I will focus on new business models and refurbishment, just to give 2 examples or a few examples of what we are working on today to make it more concrete. So I'll start out with 2 different business models we are trying right now, and one on the vacuum cleaning and one on household appliances. So the first one is a pilot, and all of these I present now are actually pilots. So we are in an early phase of experimenting with new different business models. And this specific one is a trial with a lease of robotic vacuum cleaner. So a consumer can go to our website, sign up for a subscription of the vacuum cleaner, and it's then sent home, and just starting it directly. And it's a connected product. So with this vacuum cleaner, we measure how much is used. So the user pays more or less for how much he uses it. So it's a minimum €8 a month for leasing this. And then you can clean 80 square meters. If you clean more, you pay more, up until about €25. And above that, you can clean how much you like. So this is pay-per-use, meaning that you are actually incentivized to use it less if you can. So that is kind of also reducing energy consumption. The product is entirely leased, meaning that everything included is included. If it breaks down due to product failure, it's replaced as soon as possible. There is also, as it is connected, we can see when it's time to replace certain components. There is a small brush in one corner of the vacuum cleaner that needs to be replaced regularly. So that is sent out automatically to the consumer. No need to notify us or anything. It's just sent out in due time when it should be replaced. So this model is now commercialized and works very well in one market, and it's been also commercially successful. So it will expand across different markets in the next coming years. The next example is appliances, where we go to landlords, companies that own apartment blocks. In some markets, apartment owners often lease out with the appliances. And here's a solution where we will lease out the appliances to the landowners, the apartment owners, the landlords, and manage all of that. So they pay a fixed fee. We take care of all of the appliances, including service, etc. And this works a little bit different with different apartment owners, but this we started the experiment last year. So building up, trying to learn. There's a lot of learnings to do in this area. We have a similar agreement also with a vacation park, where you can rent your vacation home. The owner of the vacation park lease all the appliances from us, and we take care of service and maintenance and necessary replacements. These are two examples of new business models, which we call product as a service or appliance as a service. But in this loop, we also have refurbishment. So we have looking at that too. For example, we see at this one, we have an activity with the dishwashers, which we take back and then resell. Next thing is refurbishment, or actually is getting new life in used products. Last year, we ran a very interesting project together with Stena Recycling, a Swedish or a European recycling company. And we put a very bold ambition to make a vacuum cleaner 100% from used vacuum cleaners and make it also 100% recyclable. So it should be made from recycled materials and components and be recyclable. So this is recycled materials, reused components, and recyclability. And this was a very interesting learning. So the Stena company, the waste handler, they manage e-waste collection and treatment in Sweden or in many different countries, but for example in Nordic countries. And Electrolux did choose then to look closer at a specific vacuum cleaner model called Ultra Silencer Classic. It's been very popular in the Nordics with the sales of several hundred thousand since many years back, and is now beginning to come back in significant numbers. So these vacuum cleaners you see have been thrown away, literally, in the municipal collection points, collected and transported to Stena treatment plant in south of Sweden, where their staff has picked out 25 vacuum cleaners that looked okay. What we did then, that we took these 25 vacuum cleaners to our R&D department in Stockholm, and the first thing, we just put the cord into this electric socket, and Out of these 25, 20 machines were already working. That is first insight. So we see a lot of vacuum cleaners be thrown away, though they are even working. And inside the machines was even more interesting because all of the engines in the vacuum cleaners were in good shape. The worst performing engine had still 60% of lifetime left. On average, they had 80% lifetime left. This we can measure on the lengths of certain carbon fibers in the engine. So we moved ahead and started to take out the best components of these 25 appliances with the ambition to build 3 new ones. And that worked actually very well. So we could use, for all mechanical and electrical components, we could reuse selected components from the scrapped ones. For the materials, we did trials on also using the plastic melted and remolded. That worked well for some parts. And for other parts, we did also take plastic components from the old ones and just put them together again in some remanufactured appliances. And finally, we had 3 very good looking vacuum cleaners fully made out of recycled components. I should say that the hose and the tube you see on top is actually new, but the whole body and everything inside is reused. So that is my examples, and I think that's it for now.
Thank you, Mr. Reggio, for your interesting presentation. I know that there is a lot into this market, the electrical and electronic equipment. I think you consider your new models, and this is very crucial, but also could you have in mind if we can move to the leasing of the equipment for all of us, all the consumers, a model that we used to have 40 years back in England. Now we have to move for the last speaker, Mr. Elias Leffas. He's a managing director of Thermovent, and he's going to talk about work made in Sweden. Just a few words about Mr. Elias Leffas. Greek Sweden. He was born in Sweden but raised in Athens. He has a degree in mechanical engineering and management from the Bradford University in England, and also a master's degree in sustainable energy engineering, attending the Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm. In 2001, he started working in the family business Thermovent. The floor is yours.
Okay. So, hello and good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for inviting me. It's an honor and pleasure to be here, and I'll try to be short. So I represent the company Thermovent, and I will try to be brief about energy sustainability in the built environment. A little bit about us. Thermovent established in 1978 in Athens with a B2B approach since day one. It's a Greek-Swedish family-owned company, now in the 2nd generation. Our premises in Alimos include warehouses, offices, showrooms, and an educational center with a seminar hall and a technical laboratory. We offer complete solutions in heating, cooling, and energy-saving systems in the domestic, commercial, and industrial sectors. So our connection to Sweden, we actually represent companies with lifelong collaborations, and the majority of them are Nordic. In particular, Bentone, CTC, and Espe, they are all Swedish, and we have been collaborating with them, with all 3 of them since 1978 when Thermovent started. So Bentone was founded in 1954 in Ljungby, Sweden, and Bentone burners are well known all over the world for their reliability, efficiency, and performance. They design and produce oil, gas, and biofuel burners, and the last 2 decades they have been working intensively on decreasing carbon and nitrogen dioxides. Quality, environment, and reliability, and of course safety, has always been the key elements for Bentone that innovates for a greener future. Bentone burners are high technology equipment, reliable, efficient, and with a steadily reduced environmental impact. They are actually changing from oil to gas, especially in Europe, where oil burners are decreasing, and they're converting to more efficient systems like heat pumps instead. But the industrial range is increasing in sales every year, especially in larger gas burners for industrial purposes. And they also have a tendency from fossil fuels to biofuels, especially outside Europe, for industrial applications, where biogas is frequently used, and they constantly improve to burners to cope with the more environmental fuels rather than fossil fuels. Environmental sustainability, the product and system solutions aim for a continuous improvement of the environment and to reduce any effects to it. So the production, distribution, use, and end-of-life management of energy-using products have significant negative effects on the environment. These effects include used energy, released waste materials, and released hazardous substances during the extraction, processing, transporting of raw materials, and the finished product. The energy used by the product during its active life, and the waste products and energy used when the product is correctly disposed of. The Eco-Design Directive aims at reducing the environmental impact of products, including their energy consumption throughout their entire cycle of life. Regarding the low NOx burners, Ventone launched low nitrogen oxides burners, the so-called low NOx, already in 2003, and they continue to develop and introduce new low NOx burners and set new standards for years to come. In Greece at Thermovent, we have imported, promoted, and distributed these burners since 2018. The ZTC was founded in 1923 in Sweden. It was the first company to offer heating boilers with built-in hot water and the first to introduce air-to-water heat pumps. ZTC offers a wide assortment of products, mainly ground, source, and air-to-water heat pumps and biomass boilers. With almost 100 years of experience, ZTC works consciously towards a sustainable and fossil-free society. All the products are developed and manufactured in Småland region of Sweden in the same premises with Ventone. ZTC product and system solutions aim for a continuous improvement of the environment and to reduce any effects to it. I'll try to be a bit fast here. They have always had a continuous development. Most of the products are A3+ in heat pumps for central heating, sanitary water, and swimming pools. You can control all those systems through your mobile. All of the products are internet connected. So, for example, you can solve 80% of the problems from distance. You minimize any traveling. All the product parts and the packaging are recyclable. Energy Flex is a system that enables to connect and supplement your heating system with virtually anything in terms of heating. And ESPE, for more than 100 years, ESPE has been establishing new standards time after time for what valves and actuators can do in different systems. ESPE established in 1906 in Sweden. The product development and manufacturing are still based in the small Swedish village of Reftele, where it all started. It's a family-owned company in the 4th generation, and it's leading European manufacturer of hydronic solutions. So regarding sustainability in industry, innovation, and infrastructure, they have a long-term energy plan actively followed up and improved to reduce energy consumption in the business. ESPE has designed a long-term sustainable product plan, releasing several new products each year. Pre-development work is done through seminars and in close collaboration with universities and customers. They improve the infrastructure. The plans to further develop the ventilation systems, minimize water emissions, and install solar cells on expansion are some examples. About sustainable energy, excuse me. Sustainable consumption and production, recycling. They are recycling up to 90% of all the new alloys they purchase of recycled materials. briefly enough. They reduce the total waste, they do life cycle analysis, and they are actually running a project of how to lower lead content. All components and packaging materials are recycled, and they are managing their pollutants in an environmental way. So summing up the sustainability offered from the Swedish suppliers to each product, we highlight 4 things. They are made in Sweden. That means they are designed, they are developed, manufactured in Sweden in a sustainable way, with less waste, less energy, more recycled material, and the ability to be recycled again. They all feature, of course, environmental and quality standards as ISO 14001 and 9001. All products are packaged and delivered in recycled and recyclable materials such as carton and wood, and of course, all mentioned products are high quality. So coming to us at Thermovent, talking about sustainability, we can highlight, for example, our e-commerce. Last year, we stopped printing and distributing our annual price catalog all over Greece. Since 2019, we are based entirely on an online e-commerce platform, the first one in Greece to take such a step. We keep our clients and partners always informed about the new technologies, products, and systems through our social media, newsletters, and visits. We have always done live technical seminars to designers and engineers at our laboratory or around the country. Now we have moved on with YouTube videos and webinars, and soon to be hybrid, with both distance viewers and on-site participants. We always provide technical support on-site or online in most of cases nowadays. And our vision, to finalize, is that we want to contribute in the highest level in sustainable energy systems for a green future by providing sustainable products from energy category, like low temperature heat pumps, low temperature radiators, geothermal systems, and so on. We want to provide efficient solutions. Products combined properly together form systems, and when used correctly, they provide efficient solutions. And with continuous education to designers, engineers, and decision makers, with seminars, webinars, meetings, and technical trainings to the factories. So I think I was brief enough, so thank you very much for listening to me. And now there is a small video, just 1 minute, to show you what we are doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lefas, for the nice presentation on your solutions, the systems, the energy savings. This is the future. Now we have a few minutes for questions from the audience. We have one question that I think Mr. Souverakis can ask this one on greenwashing.
I can try. I can give it a try. I mean, just for our audience also to understand what, and our viewers to understand what greenwashing is basically, I think, if I'm not mistaken, like a marketing strategy, which is adopted by some organizations in order to, let's say, forge an ecological responsible image. And my answer to the question is that, I mean, it's impossible to stop it. But there's a big advantage now versus what was going on 10 years ago. And that has to do with the public. And the public now is much more well informed because we have the internet, we have social media. So they better understand what's going on out there. And in the end, organizations that do greenwashing, in the end, they will not make a difference. And in order for all of us to be able to make a difference, we need to have the sustainability element to be a core part of the company's DNA. That's the one thing. And the second thing is always set specific targets in terms of sustainability.
Okay, thank you very much for the answer. Anybody else wants to add on this? If you have a view on this marketing purposes?
Yeah, I can say yes.
Yes, please do so.
Yeah,
yes.
Basically, I just agree what was just said. It's perfectly put. That the point is that companies, the greenwashing works if the stakeholders do not stand up and scrutinize. So we need active consumers, we need other stakeholders to challenge us. And we now also need policymakers, of course, to make sure that we cannot greenwash. And of course, as you said, Anthony, that companies who focus on greenwash will not contribute to make a difference. Maybe that's also a very important aspect. If you want to be in the game, you need to play it for real. Greenwash will not do it.
Okay, thank you. I do agree, actually, absolutely, I do agree. I don't have any other questions from audience, unless Mrs. Patsiopoulos, do you have anything? Do you want to add on this? Give us some figures about the success of this meeting today. Do you want to comment on the participation?
Hello again. Oh, excellent, everyone. Thank you. Excellent presentations. Different perspectives, different products, different sustainable efforts. I think it's encouraging, actually, to see that we're all touching on the let's say new models in our lives today. And I know products like bearings people don't see, but they're inside all the other machinery that gets us around, gets products produced and equipment. But then now I like the vacuum cleaner, as I just noted to Carl. I like that idea that we start to think in a different way, and I think this is very interesting to be aware of what consumer behavior changes we can make and be sustainable in that way. So I really wish you all great success in your efforts and your projects and your companies, and appreciate very much the panel today. No specific question from my side, but
okay.
If anyone would like to, from the panel, say something.
Very, very well. Yes, I was actually impressed to hear the efforts by companies to green, and I'm using the word green in a nice way, make good products, reduce CO2 emissions, in general, the environmental impacts, and have good products in the market. This is the way forward, and I think the private sector is really moving faster than the state. And I can see that in many, many areas, and I'm glad that especially the Swedish companies that they are based in Greece can really show a good example, good success case studies for the Greek industry to move forward. We as chemical engineering department, we work with industries, we try a lot to support them and give them ways out with the new legislation, the new directives. We send our students to the industries for their practical exercises during the courses and afterwards for their thesis. And we gain both ways, and we push, and also we teach. We teach them eco designs, which is very basic for good products and also recycled products. this is the starting point to design products from the beginning and know the end, how these products will come back when their life is over, to come back to the market as secondary materials. I would like to thank all of you for being with us. My special thanks to the ambassador, Mrs. Charlotte Samelin, supporting always the activities of the Hellenic-Swedish Chamber.
Miss Lozito, she would like to come in and speak, actually. She sent a
Okay,
message.
I will.
Yeah.
Okay, please.
Thank you very much. I just also wanted to show my appreciation. I think I have covered my whole life cycle. I will have Oriflame products. I will use Electrolux vacuum cleaners. I'm going to have all the SKF bearings in the residence, and the heating from Thermovent. And I would just like to share one experience that I've had, very short. The embassy last year worked a lot, and in fact during the previous 2 years, on sustainable food. And today I read in the newspaper that there is a UN report that finds that Greeks are Europe's worst food wasters. And we had a lot of traction when we had several events on reducing food waste. So I think I see that the embassy has a role to play. I am happy that I can support the Hellenic-Swedish Chamber of Commerce. It's very dear to me to do this, and we are very dedicated, and we will continue working on the sustainable agenda here in Greece. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are touching a very sensitive area of food waste, 120 million tons a year in Europe. So we have to find solutions for that. I would like to thank everybody for participating in this lovely event, and also to thank again the Hellenic-Swedish Chamber of Commerce and the Embassy of Sweden for making this event, for organizing this event. And we will be always at the speakers, the audience, the visitors. We had 80 people watching. I mean, the site was 40 people staying on. It's a very good figure. And Mrs. Patriopoulos, you did a great effort to bring this event to success. And I will be always at your disposal to assist when necessary for these lovely events. Have a nice evening, and thanks for the invitation once again. Bye-bye. Bye.
Hope to see you all live one day soon.
Thank you.
COVID-free.
Take care. Stay
Bye-bye.
safe.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.